move over to C players for a minute. And, funny enough, when we work with people in peer groups, we do have them rate the people that work for them. And when we see a report card that's, A minus, A plus, right? You know that you're not doing a good job of assessing your people at that point. It's highly improbable that everybody's an A or A plus. And in fact, my argument is, okay, if you think they are, move the bar. Move the bar so you got some B's and C's. Like, increase your expectations of what your team does. Because if your bar is low enough that everybody can be an A or an A plus, then your bar is not high enough. And that's your job as leaders, set the standard. And if your standard is low enough that everybody can perform at exceptional levels, you need a higher bar of what you expect from people. Yeah, good point. If you think they're all A's, you may be a B, according to Steve. That's a fair comment, yes. Well, at least on assessing people, you're a B. So everybody has A's, B's, and C's, right? And normally, it's a standard distribution. There's about 10 or 20% A's. Most of us are B's, 10, 20% C's that are just not really performing in the job. If you do a good job of hiring and play, it might be a little better. But let's say you figure out somebody's a C. And the definition of a C is if they left the company, I would do absolutely nothing to stop them from leaving. And in fact, I could improve the person in that position for pretty much the same money. Okay. A B is somebody who does a darn good job. They show up every day. They're fully competent. They're fully capable. And if they left, I'd probably be able to get somebody at that level, but I'm not 100% certain about that. I might try to do something if they tried to leave. An A is somebody that overperforms the job consistently, like by a factor of 2. They're so much better than anybody else in that job. They are profoundly better. And I've had software programmers like this, engineers like this, salespeople like this. I mean, it doesn't matter. Any job can have somebody who's a A, 2 or 3 or 4 times better than anybody else in the job. They are a little difficult to manage because they are so demanding and smart and driven, but you need a couple in your organization. If an A came to you and said, hey, I'm thinking about leaving, you would go, what do I need to do to keep you to stay in this organization? And so you've probably got some people in your organization, you go, if he or she left, like Greg Anika, if she was to ever leave, you'd be completely screwed, right? Yeah, she's an A player. So it's a COO, she's incredible. So everybody's got a couple of A's, and just realize who they are. We're gonna talk about A's in a little bit, but C's, you got some C's too. Now, if you don't think you do, you're wrong. You've got some. So move your bar up until you have 1 or 2. Now, when you've got a C, first is you need to make them aware that they're a C. So that is your performance is not meeting the standard in this organization. And this is even hard particularly when we're growing. And so the bar is moving up as we grow. You may have that conversation with somebody who, excuse me, for years and years and years, they were meeting the standard. And as the company's gotten to 2X, 3X, they can't meet the standard anymore. They were great at 5 million. They're crappy at 20 million. And so it may not be that they did anything wrong. It may be that the organization grew and they didn't, right? So they stayed fixed and the organization went past them. So first is make them aware. Your performance doesn't meet the standard. So option 1 is to coach them. Okay, how can I help you become better? What guidance do you need? You're working over here, you need to be working over here. Your assessment of people needs work. I mean, whatever the coaching is to try to get them up to at least B-level performance, you'd rather save them if they are savable. Maybe it's education, right? So we'll invest in some C's to see if we can save them. So maybe they don't understand something. So I've seen people that are in managerial roles and they never had, for example, financial education. And so they were innumerate, didn't understand numbers. And so let's go get them some financial education so that they have that competency. And sometimes that does the trick to bring them from a C to a B, because now they get how the numbers move. But let's say that doesn't work. We tried coaching them. We tried to educate them. We made them aware of the issue so they could maybe self-correct. None of it works. Three sort of what's the pathway we're on then. One is look to shrink the job. So this has got a lot of ego involvement, and it's not an easy conversation. But if you go, look, when we were 5 million, I named you COO. I'm going to move you to VP of East Coast operations, let's say. Half the job. It's half the size of the prior job. And you may have shrunk the job enough that they can be fully competent now. Now, people don't like when you do this to them. I will just tell you that. And that's the ego involvement, right? They go, I was a COO and now I'm the VP of whatever. I don't like that. And you may lose them over that move. I'll tell you though that a lot of people say, well, when I change their job, I got to change their money. Don't change their money. That kind of stinks, but because you're going to be overpaying them in the job you're putting them into. But if you change the job and the money, you might as well just fire them. In 19 out of 20 cases, I have seen once in a great while, somebody will take a job change and a comp change and not leave. But that actually makes me really even more nervous because they go, why didn't that person leave? Because maybe they're like a C- and I don't nobody else will hire them, or like, what's wrong, right? That they didn't go find another job when that happened to them. So I would say change the job, don't change the money, and then just red circle them. They're not going to get big raises. They're not going to get, we're just going to let the salary catch up to them. They're not going to stay with it anymore. But sometimes that works. The second idea is to shift them. So sometimes people are in the wrong place, right? We hired them in as an engineer. They're a crummy engineer, but they're a really good salesperson. You don't actually have to be a great engineer to be a good salesperson. I can vouch for that. I was a very B- level engineer, but I was a pretty damn good sales guy. So, and they hired me as an engineer. And within 18 months, I was in sales. So there you go. So sometimes you're just in the wrong job. And that goes to the philosophy that there is a right job for everybody. And if it's here, we'd like to find it. But that brings us to the third option. When they're not, we've made them aware, we've educated them, we've coached them, and they haven't gotten there. The third is to exit them. And the only word I want to put around exit is humanely exit them, right? You want to maintain positive relations. Hey, it didn't work out. I want to help you find the perfect place for you to be. It isn't here. I'm sorry about that, but let me give you some money on the way out the door to help bridge it. Let me help. I'll give you a reference. But you're not going to be here anymore, right? So now that's your attitude. They may have a different attitude about the termination, but I think you want to be humane, respectful, and maintain positive relationships on the exit, because you never know where people end up. And I think that's just the right thing to do anyway. The big thing here is you want to move fairly quickly on this once you figure out they're a C. 2 reasons. One is all we have on this planet is time. And so if somebody's in a company and a job that they can never be successful in, for you to let them stay in that position is abusive. You are abusing human beings if you know that they will never get another promotion, they'll never get more money, they'll always be an underperformer, and you let them keep doing that, you're a son of a bitch, right? I mean, you're just not a nice human if you do that. It's our obligation to get people to good places in life, I think. And so if it ain't here, let's figure that out and let's get them as quick as we can. The second is everybody else, you're the last one to figure out they're a C. Everybody else already knows they're a C. This is like management 101, unfortunately, that we learn last who's a C player. And so everybody's looking at you going, why isn't he making a move? Why isn't she moved on this guy? Everybody knows he's a turkey and he's incompetent, and yet like he's still here. And so the minute you figure it out and just realize you're very late in the figuring out cycle, everybody's now looking at you going, you need to make a move. Leaders make moves on C's. You set the standard of which we accept in this organization. And if you find C performance acceptable, that's a real problem. And in fact, I've seen organizations where they accepted C players and the A's left. Like, I'll be damned if I'm gonna hang around an organization where that guy gets the same raise that I get. So move quickly on C's once you figure it out, because realize you're already behind the curve once you figure it out. And so go down make them aware, coach them, invest in them. If that doesn't work, shrink the job, shift them to another job, or exit them. So move quickly, have a plan, get it moving.